Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. I don't know why, but whenever I'm on VPN, I cannot connect to HackMD. So it's kind of annoying. Let me see here. Um, Yeah, I'll just drop VPN. If I,
Gotcha. I never had that problem. I could always connect to that. Did they change something?
where are you? Okay, here we go. Share. All right. Can you all wait 1 second? That's wrong thing. Share. Firefox. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, can you all see my screen? Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Cool. Let's go here. Da, da, da. July 7th. All right. Here's that. And then agenda here. Uh, Cool. And then welcome back, David. Hope you had a good vacation or break.
It was not a break or vacation, just a release.
Oh, was it? Okay, okay. All right. Yeah, if you all could sign in, please. I already stuck you in there, did he see? Okay, cool. So,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
yeah, yeah, no worries. So we merged in the links proposal for the domain ID, so that got merged in. So I should go to github.com, CDEvents, spec, and there, do that. And then for particularly this one, where we talked a little bit about it, for the environment ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go talk to Andrea a little bit about this because the primary issue with this, and I don't want to take too long on this particular PR because we already talked about it in depth, is that the docs don't match what we say in the spec. So either the docs need to be updated or the spec needs to be updated. So we just need to figure out which one we want to adhere to. So that's kind of like where I'm at with this. And I'm for either one, to be honest. But yeah, so I'll just mention that in here. That either docs need to be updated or spec needs to be updated. Uh, Why? Let's say one thing, spec says another. Okay, so that's the primary issue. Okay, cool. So that was pretty much the gist there. And I think we didn't have any other PRs. Oh, this was, yeah, we're still waiting for that. One thing that I also wanted to kind of talk about. So I've been very trying to update the website, but I've been kind of making a slow progress. Um, but I just wanted to see um what I think might be best for the website update is I will post in the Slack channel images, just to kind of give you guys a view of like what it looks like, what's changing, etc. And before I open the PR, that way, we can, if we have issues that with the look or whatnot, we can change it immediately. So the look is primarily staying the same. It's just like moving things around in a more organized manner. So people that are coming to CD events know what they're looking at. So hopefully that does a good job. So yeah, I'll do that probably sometime in the next week or so. But I just wanted to mention that. Filming. Okay, cool. So yeah, in terms of the agenda, a few things. So, did he say, I don't think you haven't created the PRs yet, but you did post in that channel. Let me see here. That's right. Approval event. Okay. So I am going to also create an issue and PR for deployment events. So this is going to be coming, I'll do that actually this week.
Ooh,
So
is this a new deployment event or I don't
yeah,
understand?
yeah. So I'll give you a little bit of what is happening. So deployment, so we have the service events, right? And that's more of an entity-based event. It's like service was upgraded, service, was published and whatnot. But we don't really have the orchestration side of it, which is like similar to like how build and the build events in CI, uh, you
So
know,
you want like a deployment started kind of thing and deployment finished or?
exactly, yeah,
Oh yeah,
exactly
yeah.
that.
No, I've always been for deployment started and deployment finished.
Okay, perfect.
I think that's a great addition.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, anytime you can bracket and say this is a piece of work, that is always welcome.
yeah, correct. Yeah, so queued, I'll just do here. Queued.
So it's more
Started.
deployment run. If
What was
if
that?
we ref, it should be deployment run. If you remember, we have a ticket to to normalize. Yes, the name.
Yeah. So I am still on the fence with that. And
Yeah, I don't think it should be deployment run if we're going to have a deployment um, event. Like if we make everything deployment run, great. But I don't think we need deployment and deployment run.
yeah, oh yeah, correct. Yeah, we just need to figure out the name. But to answer your question, David. So here's what I've been kind of thinking. So the problem right now with run, right, is that build still doesn't have run on it. So is the question is, do we just accept that there are some legacy events that do not have the suffix of run?
Uh,
I think there's a simpler rule, guys. I think if you say that run is something that means the automation itself is on, like it's the tool runs. And so pipelines can run because it's an orchestration tool and it's running something. Where technically deployment is an ephemeral concept. We're just moving data. You're just copying stuff somewhere, right? But we've bracketed in an understanding that this service is deployment, right? And so things like, because otherwise we'd have to do like migration run and like, like there have to be
Exactly.
run for
Yes.
everything, right? But
Exactly.
yeah. And so I think it did make sense the way they did it. And it always made sense to me because it made the core seem like, oh, I am physically, it's something I can unplug, is how I think about it of pipeline run because I can go over to that machine, unplug it, and it cuts everything off. But the build concept is still a concept that's ephemeral and floats around. And the same thing with deployment. But that's my 2 cents. I am, me guys. I want to love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah. But no, I'm
we
on the
we
same
we
page.
already have this discussion, and if I remember, the
Yes.
conclusion about yes or no is in the tickets.
Yes. So yeah, but so there's something that is a little bit, I think, a different. So I've been thinking about this problem a lot, the whole run concept. And so here's kind of what I'm thinking is the primary problem isn't the ending like suffix run, for example. I think the primary problem is that people when people are looking at a subject, they don't know whether it's like an execution based subject or a entity based subject. So I wonder if it makes sense just to
What's the
group.
difference?
Oh,
What's the
so
difference?
any, yeah, sorry. So an execution would be like, like the thing that you were talking about, DDC, where it's like a run, like it has an execution that's doing like a workflow or a pipeline. And
Mhm.
an entity is like an artifact dot publish. Like the artifact is an entity based subject as opposed to like a pipeline run. Did that help?
Yeah, but do you actually that's interesting that you are saying that people don't know the difference because it's like, well, if it has a start and a finished, that's a body of work, you know.
Right. Yes.
And so it's not, that's why I wanted deployment to have a start and a finish. But I was
Yep.
fine with it being a part of a process that's already there, that's running, that does have a start and a finish, and you just want to mark the things. Both work. And so I guess that's the primary distinction in my mind is like, does it have a start and a finish? That's, one type of thing. And then anything else is like, oh, this thing happened. That's just a signal. And so it's not so much an entity, right? as much as here's a signal of something that's happening that you want to make yourself aware of. And then something like, oh, this scheduler fired off a schedule. The other system is required to understand and know what it is. It doesn't, you don't say, hey, we're going to tell you how to use it. It's like, oh, no, this is an event that happened. How do you want to consume that information on the other end? And then is it bracketed to say this is a body of work or is it a signal? And so that works for both entities and things that are just signals if we ever wanted to incorporate observation events into the greater system because we were like reaching out to the there's a group that does observation. There's an observation group in CNCF.
Datadog. Oh, you mean like
Yeah,
the SIG
yeah,
groups?
like no, like data dogs and all of
Oh,
those
okay,
things. Like
okay.
if we wanted to get some of those cloud events that are like pure observational and bring those in, we could because that concept is there for us.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's why calling it that's why I think of it as a signal as opposed to like a physical this work on an entity because it's just a signal that this happened with this entity, not so much that the entity itself is a thing.
Well, the subject is the entity, the signal is actually the predicate, right?
Oh, well, I'm talking about the event overall, not the split of how we split it up in to reframe. Yes, the subject has to do with the entity space in which the signal is sent or why it was sent. But once you add the predicate, the actual event is that whole thing,
Yes,
right? It's
correct.
yeah. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking
Yeah, I
about our
think
concepts of the separation, to get to whether or not it's a signal or bracket at work. That's yeah, and you're absolutely right, and I agree with you. That's what the subject is for, because the subject says this is the entity area where we're taking the work, or this is the area in which the work does. Because if we wanted to have
yeah,
data
yeah.
ops events, they would have special subjects, right? And so
Yeah,
I am in complete agreement with that statement. It's just that once you put the predicate on it, and it's an actual event that's going somewhere and traveling, now you have both, and that is what determines whether or not the subject is a subject signal or a subject of work.
yeah, yeah. And I think so we're completely on the same page here, Didisi, but I think
Mhm.
what I was trying to highlight is we can either standardize on the run and run, we can have the suffix on the run, if it helps. Or or in addition to that, or something that we could also do that might help is the thing that what we just discussed, did easy with like, subjects being like the entity and the predicate and the whole event being like either a signal or a body of work should be captured in the docs so it's like very clear and in the specification somewhere, right? So, and that's what I was trying to get at, David. So would that, so I guess my question is, do you feel run is a necessary requirement that, because like I said, I spent some time thinking about it, or do you feel
No,
that, yeah, sorry.
no, I don't think so. It's just that I mentioned this problem because we have this discussion on the ticket
Yes,
where
yes.
we conclude that build should not have run because in English, I'm not a native English speaker, it doesn't make sense also. So I just mentioned that we maybe in the ticket, because we have this discussion, we define the naming rules of the subject for this kind of execution subject. But
Oh, okay. So you're on the same
but
page as well.
the
Yeah.
existence, it's just the naming, having clear rules about the
Yes.
naming.
Yep.
Uh, help else, I'm not against on my side. All those kind of subject with a queued, started, finished are grouped into a generic execution, and I provide the same dashboard for every execution. So, and I
Okay.
have also extended a little bit for issue and tickets.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it sounds like we're all on the same page here. So what I'll do is, like I said, I'll update the website, and I'm gonna actually make this a separate call out. Run should instead of standardizing on naming for orchestration, like events that run, we should instead capture
Because
the rules.
maybe in terms of naming, if we follow the same previous rules,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it should not be deployment, but deploy queue or deploy run.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because that's not I'm not a native, so
No,
Oh
that's a
yeah,
great
yeah. No
point.
worries,
That's
man.
a great point. That's a great point.
And then what else was? Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. Kind of tangential to the deployment. Another thing that I was thinking about is, do we also want to capture? So with deployment, um, you might have a deployment that houses a lot of artifacts that are going to like multiple regions. So one thing that I was thinking about was maybe a potential different event that was something like target rollout. I haven't landed on a name, but that would tell you the namespace or cluster that it was going to. Do we feel that that's something that we should consider, or should that be left up? Should I create a GitHub issue? We can discuss it more. But does that make sense of like what I'm talking about? Did I explain it properly? I guess is my question.
It does make sense, and I think that the if environment was an object, then you can that
Detach
would
it.
be a
Yeah.
part of exactly, and that would
Yeah.
be a better way to handle that. Because really, what you're saying is that you want a Kubernetes friendly environment plus a. And I think we talked about this when we talked about environments before, because it's like, oh, where does it physically go? That's one
Exactly.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus this is the name of the environment. But and this is like I know this is cross pollinating, but again, this is more like environment as a whole is an ephemeral concept where we put the label there for people to use as they want. And so it's up to the group to say, hey, this is how we use environment and this is how we want to populate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's up to the consumer that they're using to be aware of how the system works, not the event to say this is how I should be consumed. And which goes back to the thing that we were talking about on the schedule execution event. Like it's like the system saying, here's some information about what's going on, as opposed to this is how some information about what's going on, you must use it this way, right? And I think that's what, is the challenge of an open source anything overall, especially when we're trying to like make this friendly for anybody who wants to use it across a whole bunch of different tools. Once we go in and say, you must use this thing this way, then we need to provide the tool that does the thing in the manner that everyone's speaking. Or it's like, hey, this is where we're all saying this type of information to go have at it and go build things. That's pretty much like the same expression from from as far as I can see.
Yeah, and yeah, we should never be telling people like how, they must use an event like this or whatnot, but we need to be clear on the semantics. Like that
Yeah, yeah,
that's yeah, so that's basically the gist. And I think that makes a lot of sense though. Yeah, like you're absolutely right. If we're gonna make the bold claim that you need to use this way, but don't provide the tooling or the infrastructure to easily set that
exactly.
up, that's not fair to the end user, right? So yeah, I think that makes total sense.
But that was my point with scheduled execution, dude, is like it's the same thing. Like if you say there must be a contract for how it works, then you're telling people
Oh,
how to use it.
sorry. No, I didn't mean contract like that. No, different. Sorry.
Right, but that's what I read. I mean, that's how it reads because you're saying like, oh, how will they know in this case, and how will the consumer know in this case? And how, it's like, no, the consumer doesn't. The consumer either knows or it doesn't. Why are you consuming a thing you don't know how to use? Is the point that I was trying to make? Is like, no, the people who are writing the code, they know what the event is. They've chosen to consume the event. They already have decided how they're going to use the data.
Yeah, by contract, I mean the semantics. Like, what does the semantics mean? Like in the whole event. Like when I say can't, it's more of a lexicon. Like all of the words in there just need to mean something meaningful. So that's what I meant by contract. So if it read the other way, that wasn't the intention. So
Okay. Well,
yeah,
and again, like if you say start time, then it's relative to whatever your process says start time means. If you say
yes, and
execution
that's
time,
fine. Yeah,
then that's
exactly.
relative to whatever that means for the consumer, not, in the consumer agreement, not the event. And
Yes,
so
yes.
the way that you were calling that out, it looked really explicit where you were saying like, oh, you have to tell the consumer that this is this expiration time based on this other thing over here. And that's not what it is. It's just the expiration of concern, period. Boom, done. And then it's
Oh,
there.
yeah, but maybe that example wasn't right because what I was trying to highlight is when we say missed, what do we mean by missed, right? And
But
and that's what I mean by being clear, like semantically, because like once you're able to overload one word or one term, it makes it very hard for anyone to reason about the system. So that's why I'm just saying we need to be careful. And I think that's what I was trying to get at, maybe having a separate GitHub issue where we highlight, like maybe like a more verbose kind of description of the proposal would kind of help answer some of those questions. Because, I didn't expect that to be in that summary, but I just wanted to call it out,
Okay, so yeah, there is like a list of like which each word means. That's there in the larger one. And I was just putting that piece in there so that you guys could, see that it was actually done and
in
yeah,
progress. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Because no, technically they're done, dude. So part of what happened last week is like, my lawyers were like, no, 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 don't do anything. We got to
Oh,
talk. And
okay.
so yeah, and so we got through all of that stuff, and that kind of slowed me down. And then I forgot about it. Honest to goodness, it was like Fourth of July weekend. Totally
Okay. Yeah,
forgot.
no worries, no
Yeah,
worries, no worries.
yeah. And Mexico was playing.
Yeah, yeah.
My girlfriend's a Mexican dude. It was like,
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
yeah,
So she was very mad then, right?
yeah, no, yeah, oh yeah, that was, oh
Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
was a great weekend.
All right, all right. So I'm assuming schedule execution is going to be the first PR because I know you said you were
Yeah,
introducing.
yeah.
Okay,
Schedule
okay.
execution. Well, the Cedrus expression is actually going to be first. There's no
Oh, okay,
reason
okay.
not to do that now. I mean, it's been out forever. There is one thing I'm going to add about, targeting, but I mean, that doesn't really change anything that's in there now. If everybody's cool with it and has the chance to look at it and you guys are fine with it, I will go ahead and post a PR. I think part of it too, and here is the embarrassing part, guys, I've never actually posted a PR to our stuff. So this will be my first. So maybe I'm just a little skittish about that, which is weird because I post PRs every day and my own stuff. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah, yeah. You shouldn't. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Once.
just just show, a little shy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's so cool to be shy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so one thing that we might want to do is maybe just create a GitHub issue on it. But I'm okay. So I don't know.
For schedule execution or for the Cedric expressions has one. That's
No, no,
253.
for scheduled execution. This one.
Y-
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, if you want it separate, I mean, we were talking, I said I would do it in the one that was open, but I'm more than happy to make another one specific for that and make the issue. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Yeah. Just because like I'm worried about like
Conflation.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
okay. So that
I
makes
respect that.
sense. All right. Okay, cool. So I think that pretty much addresses at least some of the questions that I had with scheduled execution. And to mind you, like these are just questions, Denise. It's not like I'm trying to like saying that this won't work. Like I'm just trying to understand the
Yeah,
proposal.
no, dude, I didn't think you were doing anything wrong. That's why we're talking about it, right? It's
Okay,
not like
okay.
yeah, I was just like, hey, and that's why I was going like, no, the other side, it's okay for me to go, well, dude, I don't think the other side should have to know in advance. And now that you've clarified, no, no, you just wanted the language to make sense.
Yes,
That's a
yes.
whole different statement than this other side needs to know a thing. The consumer doesn't need to know, the person does, because that's who actually is the consumer.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. We're in agreement.
All right, cool, cool. All right, so I think we're pretty much good here. I don't know if I had anything else. I'm still waiting for legal to get me the okay for the CD Events OSS SDK. It's
Hmm.
it's a complete rewrite and it's substantially faster too. So that'll be a good PR. And it's a lot more easier. It's a lot easier to use as well. So,
Yeah,
um,
awesome.
yeah, so I'll definitely see how long that will take to get approval, but hopefully it'll be pretty quick. And then,
Why is that taking just out of curiosity, you're already, or is it a separate? Yeah, if you're the guy for the
yeah,
CD events who says, "Hey, this is what goes through," what does you have to do with them?
well, because it touches, I wrote a compiler for it. So because,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Nope, nope, nope. There you go. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. So it's a little bit different. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, it's very, very powerful. But yeah, I'll be really excited to get it out.
Okay.
Once,
I would love to see that. A
yeah,
compiler for it, dude. That's all.
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. And then what did you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about? David Didisi?
No, we're gonna start. So, okay, so the Cedric expression thing is out. If and I, everybody's had a chance to do that. I'm gonna
Yep, yep.
submit that. I'm clear with my own legal side to do that. We are super clear about what we're giving away to the open source community. They're working on like the licensing and start they're there's some pieces that need to be done with the Linux Foundation before we can hand it over. And so, that process is still going forward. The issue that we're going to run into next, and the thing that we're working on, is the resolution of what is GitHub issue 250, which is the basically, which will open up CD events in a way that will allow people to make their own custom
Oh,
events
interesting.
as
Yeah.
long as they are using the base event. And be because it's tied to the concept of a base event and inheritance, what my long-term concern is that what this group does becomes super, super important in the sense that we are saying this is the common space for CD events, and these are the official CD events that we recognize internationally as CD events. And then we can put conformance around that for the tool. And that's going to become super important because this group will basically be saying these are the events that the whole world can consume together, where if an individual company wants to make their own event or add fields to an event, they'll be able to do that specifically for them. And so they can carry extra context without having to have that fight in um,
In custom data. Yeah.
yes, yes, and that was the thing. And now we can use custom data as a namespace secure, and it'll all be in the proposal because it turned out there's a lot more that you can do with it. And that was the other piece that the legal team that I'm working with, they were like, hey, you got to be careful with this one,
Okay. Okay.
and how it's done. Okay, and so the goal again is to have the CDF, specifically the CD event SIG, be the authority on what is the internationally allowed CD events worldwide, where then other people can add their own based on their company and their needs. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes total sense. Yeah. So this is actually out of like I'm really looking forward to this because I really like the base event like model. Like I think that's gonna go a long way. So okay. Yeah. So do we have an ETA for this or?
Well, that's literally what not that, I mean, nowadays everybody uses them. So it's literally like Claude is literally grinding on some of that right now.
Okay.
So
Thanks,
Uh,
Claude.
yeah, it's Claude and my guys, and like and they all have Gemini, but I have both because
Yeah.
CEO needs to do
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so we'll try and get that done in the next couple of weeks, but we've got to build the thing first to be able to understand it, and that is primarily the mistake that I made too in this whole approach because in all of the time that I was at my previous company, I was never given resources to build the things. There was a lot of issues with trying to figure out like how to make it actually work when I started building it, and a lot more discovery. So that's been fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it is so isn't what I thought I was making originally, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess my follow-up question to that is that gonna affect the proposal that we're seeing here, or
No, no,
is
no,
that
no, 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 no.
okay?
It's just what it's turned out to like. Let's take Cedrus Expresses. When you and I sat down and we were talking about that, like I think we were like in Austin a year ago in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
office. Yeah, yeah. It was like, hey, we can version these things, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then when I tried to apply versions to it, the whole thing collapsed. It didn't work. Or there was just no way that made it untenable. And so it was like, oh, it needs to be identities. And so once you attach the workflow to an identity, that completely changed how the concept of the system works overall, and made it super flexible, but also this weird scoping where, oh, you don't even have access to data that you don't know about because of what comes next out of this piece over here. So it's pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think so. I guess so. It sounds like that the discoveries is just strictly implementation and
Yeah, yeah.
not the
Yeah.
specification. Okay,
Yeah.
good, good. Okay. So was there anything else, David?
No,
Okay.
not on my side. Just to go back to deployment, because you mentioned
Oh, sure,
to
sure.
include environment and package, you will have to be clear between deployment and data inside the deployment event and service deploy.
Oh, you mean
Because
yeah,
today
service.
in service
Yeah.
deploy, you already have the artifact and the environment.
Yes, yes.
So
And
we should not do duplication between
oh
the two
yeah,
events. It
it
should
definitely
be clear
creates,
when to
yeah.
use one or the other.
So my thinking is I don't know if service is like some of the predicates make sense, but I think it it tries to act like both, like kind of going back to what we were just talking about. It tries to act both as an entity and a body of work, like a signal and a body of work. And I think that's what deployment's trying to separate out, where service is actually the thing and and whenever we're talking about a deployment, we're deploying the thing, and then the service can say, "Hey, I was published," or service like healthy or something of that nature, right? It's kind of similar to how build and artifact work in tandem, right? So I imagine deployment and service is going to work in tandem in that same regard, or that's kind of how my hope is. But the service upgraded and the service dot deployed, I think we might need to deprecate them, but let's table that for now. Let me create an issue and I'll create the deployment and then because I have that as open questions in my proposal. I just haven't published it yet. That what should we do about these, mirrored events that mean kind of similar, right? Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, if that is it, I guess we can call it. Yeah, I don't have anything else. So yeah, if that's it, everyone, yeah, let's call it here, and then we can discuss more on Monday. And yeah, please let us know when you create those proposals to DC. Just like ping us in Slack, and I'll
Yeah, yeah.
definitely take a look.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and just for
Also,
clarity, I'm going to create the GitHub issue
Yes.
separately for the one, yeah, and then reference the conversation at the other spot where we were having it. Is that
Okay. Yeah,
appropriate?
that's perfect. Yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect.
All right.
Okay. Awesome.
okay.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
All right.
And
Ciao.
just to remember, to told you, CDVs has now a SaaS version in beta. So
Oh,
for people that don't want to install locally. So
Oh,
I'm looking
nice.
for beta tester
Okay.
with
awesome.
less feature than the on-premise, but
Of course. Yeah, yeah. But it's there. No, that's
useful
awesome.
for GitHub and GitLab user and CDEvents. We have connector also for CDEvents.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'll play
Awesome.
around with it. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Hope you all have a good week, and then I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay. Ciao, folks.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.